Hey everyone, Reaper here again with another video. This time it's a little something different. In this video, let's see, look who's back, and he's all happy, Little Reaper. You're happy because you're going to have lunch in a little bit. This video is a little something different. Today I wanted to talk about a video game series that means a lot to me. So, those of you out there, most of the people that watch me, you're into comic books, you may not really like this video that much. This is since we're not going to be talking about comics. So if you don't watch it, you don't comment, believe me, I understand. But I wanted to do this video because I've been meaning to talk about this subject, this video game series for a while. It's something that's important to me. So today I will talk about some of my favorite Castlevania games. I'm not going to go too much in detail with them. I'll show you the ones I have, and then I'll show some honorable mentions at the end, just to show you that I collected them throughout the years. Like I said, the reason why is because Castlevania is my favorite video game series, and you know, I like talking about that with people. So hopefully, if you stick around, you like it, that's great. But like I said, I don't expect a lot in the community to really pay too much attention. You okay? The little Reaper is getting over a bad cold. Last week we had to take him to the ER. It was, pretty bad on New Year's Day, right, buddy? But you pulled through. He's like, yeah. Okay, everyone, so let's have a look. Everyone, starting off where it all began for me. This is Castlevania, the first one. This was the one I bought when it first came out back in I think it originally came out in 87, but I didn't get it until I think 88 or something to that effect. I got it for my birthday as a birthday present. So yeah, this is I was fascinated with this game as soon as it came out, fighting all the monsters like Dracula and Frankenstein. It was really, really cool. I think it was really novel at the time for a game like that. I'm just going to quickly go through them, the ones that I want to talk about. But one other thing about this is a couple things. I was introduced to Castlevania through my cousin. She told me she had this game and tried it, and I asked for it for my birthday, and that's, as they say, the rest is history. But I know Castlevania, the first one, has a reputation for being a very difficult game, and it can be a difficult game, but it's really all about patterns. If you get the patterns down, you could, get through this game no problem. The second one, Simon's Quest. Well, according to the Angry Video Game Nerd, that was one of his first videos. He went over all the issues with Simon's Quest, and Simon's Quest certainly had a lot of issues, but I still liked it. I thought it was a really cool Castlevania. It was a little different than the first one. A lot of the puzzles were a little hard to figure out, but once you figured them out, once you read a strategy guide or whatever, it was a very enjoyable game. I really thought so. Then we come to Castlevania 3, the last of the original Nintendo Castlevanias, or at least for the American market. Excuse me. Dracula's Curse. This was a return to the roots of Castlevania. It was a longer game. It was a linear game. It wasn't like an adventure that Simon's Quest was. And you could change between two other characters. In the first two Castlevania games, you were a character, Simon Belmont. Then in Castlevania 3, which was a prequel, you were his ancestor. I don't know if it was his great-grandfather, but Trevor Belmont, who could shapeshift or between two other heroes, Grant and Alucard, who is Dracula's son. Alucard makes his first appearance in this one right here. So they were all really good. But I think the best one out of the three here was probably Castlevania 3, but my favorite was the first one. So we're going to move right along. The next one, which happens to be one of my favorite games of all time, I'll rest this right here. I know you probably move it a little closer to the camera. It's for Super Nintendo, Super Castlevania 4. This is almost like a remake of the first one. And I got this Christmas morning, 1991, and It was an amazing game. It was everything I ever wanted from the Super Nintendo. Updated graphics, better play control. Once again, like I said, it's a remake of the first one. So you're Simon Belmont again, and you could shoot your whip in any direction. The play control was so much better. You can control your jump. In the original Castlevania games, as Simon or Trevor would jump on an angle. In this one, you can control the jump. So in midair, you could turn around and go back where you jumped from to avoid maybe an enemy or some sort of lethal device in your way, whereas with these, you couldn't. And I think that's another reason why these games are considered, the original three were considered difficult, because of stuff like that. A very awkward jump. You jumped on an angle. And every time you got hit, you would fall backwards, and sometimes you would fall into a pit or into another enemy. So it was a pain in the butt. But this was an upgrade in so many levels, and it truly was the best Castlevania at that time. After that, it was something strange. We came off, here in America, we came off the heels of Super Castlevania 4, and everyone's waiting for Castlevania 5. But we didn't get the next Castlevania, which came out 2 years later. This was in 91. The next one came out in 1993, I think October 1993. But it wasn't in the American market. We never got this game here. And this was Dracula X Rondo of Blood. This time we are introduced to a new Belmont, Richter Belmont. It takes place, I think, 100 years after Simon Belmont. Now, like I said, this did not come out here in the United States. This came out for the PC Engine CD, which was the very first video game CD system, and the very first Castlevania CD. In my opinion, this is the second best Castlevania. So you're getting a little bit of glare. This is the second best Castlevania game. It was absolutely fantastic. It's very much like the first Castlevania. There are branching paths to change it up, and you can, if you find another character, you can be her. Her name is Maria, and she offers a completely different playing experience in the game. But truly, this was a fantastic game. The music, all Castlevania games had excellent music. This had CD quality music for the first time in a Castlevania series. And this would be the prequel to my favorite Castlevania game, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But this is Rondo of Blood, a wonderful addition to any Castlevania collector's collection. Genesis got their very first Castlevania in the name of Bloodlines. Now, I don't have the box, and you can see it's not in the best of shape, but it plays well. Castlevania Bloodlines. This one takes place, I believe, in the mid-1800s. Jonathan Morris is the main character, and I think you could also be Eric Lecart or something to that effect. Jonathan Morris. Another great game. Not bad. This was the only Castlevania game to come out for the Genesis, or the Sega in general. It was a very good entry. Then in 1995, a re-release of Rondo of Blood came out. This time it was Dracula X. As you can see, the same artwork. Okay? This game, now I don't have the original box. I did at one time, but it's long gone. But here's the game. All right. It's pretty much just a remake of Rondo of Blood, except it released on the American market in 1995. This game has better graphics, but the levels are different. Some of the levels are different, and it is not nearly as good as Rondo of Blood. It's very difficult. The final boss, Dracula, is insanely difficult, very different than the final boss fight with Dracula in the original Rondo of Blood. I still like it, but it's much different, and it's kind of pricey. To get a complete copy with the box and everything is very expensive on eBay. I'm just going to talk about one more in detail, then I'll show you some honorable mentions. The last, it's like almost the best for last for me. This is the very first Castlevania for PlayStation. Castlevania Symphony of the Night. This is my favorite Castlevania. And this is where they went into a different direction, the creators. First off, the main character is Alucard, who made his first appearance in Castlevania 3, as I mentioned before. But this time, of the game's obviously the game's graphics, music, top notch. Alucard is awesome. He's half vampire, so he has all these mystical abilities to cast magic. You collect all these different swords and armor and upgrades and leveling up, all those RPG elements. And it's also the first Castlevania to have the I think it's called Metroidvania. It's very much like Metroid, where you go into this map and you collect certain items that will give you access to other parts of the map and find other items and so forth and so on. Very great, a very good game. And it's also the sequel to Rondo of Blood. When you first pop this game in, you play as Richter Belmont in the very last stage of Rondo of Blood. You're going up the stairs to fight Dracula. Of course, in this version here, Dracula is a little easier to beat than in this one. But it's right from this game. So that's why I like these two very much. These are my top two. Castlevania Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood. They're almost connected. Like this is actually a sequel to it. Just as Simon's Quest is a sequel to the first Castlevania. So I like that when things follow in a series and we're not boggled down with remakes and prequels and all that other stuff. So Castlevania, this is definitely anybody that has this game, you'll know what I'm talking about. Anybody that's into PlayStation or would like to get into the original PlayStation, or even if you have a PlayStation or Xbox, you could buy this on the Xbox Live Marketplace or the PSN network. Definitely worth getting. Definitely worth getting. Just want to mention another thing. This right here is the Sega Saturn version of Symphony of the Night. It has a better cover, better artwork. You could also play as Maria again from Rondo of Blood. She also appears in Symphony of the Night. This game is okay. It's pretty much the same thing as Symphony of the Night. It has an extra level, an extra area in the castle. But this game is not as good as the PlayStation counterpart. But it's cool to have. And the other Castlevania game that came out for the original PlayStation, this is Castlevania, the first Castlevania remake, Castlevania Chronicles. So those are some of my favorite Castlevania games. Some honorable mentions here. Castlevania for N64. This wasn't a good game at all. It was the first time Castlevania went into 3D. Then for PlayStation 2, came out Lament of Innocence, which was another 3D game. Now they fully went into 3D, and it wasn't that bad. The sequel, Curse of Darkness, where Trevor Belmont makes another appearance. Not bad, not great either. There were a couple Game Boy Advance games. I have Circle of the Moon, I just don't know where it is. And here are some very good that follow the Symphony of the Night formula of the Metroidvania type games. For the DS, Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow. I don't know which one came out first or last or whatever, but I'm just doing it in any order. Castlevania Order of Ecclesia. I think this is regarded as the best one for the DS. And Castlevania Portrait of Ruin. I think Alucard makes his appearance in Order of Ecclesia. But you can't play as him. And finally, the last Castlevania game in my collection, Lords of Shadow. I don't have the second one. I didn't like it. It's more like God of War. Now, I know a lot of people, when they played Symphony of the Night, said, well, this is more like Metroid. And if being like God of War, that's not necessarily a bad thing, okay? But I just felt that this was not as fun to play as other Castlevania games. Some of the ones that I talked about in detail. And that's one of the reasons why I never got the second one. If I get the second one, it'll be I'll get it for a cheaper price. I won't pay a top dollar for it. But those are my Castlevania games. Those are some of my memories of Castlevania and why I like them so much. I hope you enjoyed the video. Those of you that stuck with me throughout this whole video, Comic Book Haul 19 will be out early February. And I'll be doing some more shout outs and a dedication to a legend in the community. And I'll be showcasing, like I said before, some independent comic books, non-Marvel, non-DC, but I think you'll enjoy them. Thank you for watching. I hope you all had a great New Year. Like I said, Little Reaper had to go to the ER, so it was like, not such a great New Year here, but he's okay now, and that's all that matters. So I'll be watching your videos out there. Looking forward to seeing more of you get some of your top 10 books for 2017 in future videos, and I hope you all have a good day. Take care.